Hello, everybody. Slightly Slanted Sleuth coming at you from Minnesota, cold Minnesota. It is like 19 degrees here, and joined with Phil Langdon at the moment, and we're waiting for Danielle D. She's supposed to be here. I'm sure she'll show up, but I'd like to thank Phil for showing up on right after the first show we did yesterday, and unfortunately, the show we did yesterday got erased. So we're gonna hopefully the sound's better. All right. Danny just paged me and said she's on her way. So,
Okay.
what do you want to talk about today, Phil?
Well, today because of what we did yesterday, I've just prepared a very quick sheet,
Okay.
which is a resume of the. It's like a resume of the issues that we need to look at in terms of what the great work is that leads to ascension. Because if people want to ascend, they have to know what it takes and what it means. So I've done a really poignant, simple resume of it, basically.
Awesome. Yeah, give us a little structure and sense of where we're going, right?
Yeah, that's right. It has to. You got to get the head around the actual issues of it and where it comes from and how it works. You know, this kind of thing. Because lots of people talk about it and talk and nothing ever changes. You know, no one ever reaches it.
Right.
It seems.
Right. Hence the reason why I keep bugging you to come on the show.
That's not a problem.
And I greatly appreciate it. And I'm sure everybody that's following my channel and our work, I'm sure they're grateful as well. So
I'm glad. Thanks, man. It's been a while. Just so you know, it's been a while since I thought anyone would be interested. You know, I thought very few people were interested, and I didn't think that they would recognize what I was saying because it was slightly above what they normally talk about. So I thought that I was, below or above their radar or something for some reason. I don't know why.
Right. I totally agree with that, and it's due to the fact that everybody vilifies things they don't really know much about or that have been vilified in the past, and that's what I believe it is. Is like
right.
How everybody's hating on God, as God is like it was God's fault that the church went corrupt, you know?
Yeah. No.
And
yeah. Right.
So I think that has a big part of it.
Yeah. That always boils down to people doing things and misinterpreting things on purpose or not. Either ignorant or on purpose. You know, there's those two reasons.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm going to say hi to everybody here in chat, and then we'll get started. Hey, Rainbow Phoenix, Esther Lim, Gareth, Miles. Nice to see you guys. Heartbeat, Hammer of the Gods, and that's all we got so far. So we're ready to shoot.
Okay. So is there anything you wanted to start with, dude? Yourself?
Well, not really. Just I wanted to convey to you a couple of the viewers. A couple of recent subs of mine have actually made some heartfelt confessions to me on certain things that they probably wouldn't share with normal people or under normal circumstances. And I just want to convey to you that you're loved, man, and your message is being well received, and we appreciate it.
Okay, thank you, man. I really appreciate to hear that. I really thought I wasn't really going anywhere, and I wasn't going to be listened to. So thank you, man. I tell them I really appreciate that if you can.
Well, you're telling them right now, and hey, I think this is going to turn into a shitstorm for the dark forces.
Right. Yeah, I think it is actually. I'm afraid, yeah. Because I don't think anyone in the world actually expected anyone to find this light. That's the impression I get, as if it was just assumed that nobody would get there, But I fought really hard to get there on purpose because I thought I'm either going to find the truth because it's the most important thing there is, or die trying. So that's all I thought. When in my teens, I thought, right, that's it, I'm doing it. There's nothing else to live for as such. That's why I did it.
The way you convey what you've connected to and how much it really means, and just the pure bliss I see in your or feel in your voice and see in your eyes when you're talking about it is just it conveys the ultimate truth to me, and that's why I know what you're saying is real, man. And
I've had
hints of it my whole life, but nothing like you've expressed to me. So
right. That's only since the event as well. Before it, I would have been like everybody else, and I came across as a bit awkward and a bit strange to other people because of as you go forward looking for all this stuff, you get into stuff that other people don't even think about, you know. So, and that's what you're thinking about, and you want to talk about it, but there's no one to talk about it with. So you're on your own a lot, you know, in that sense.
Right, right.
Yeah.
But what were you thinking you were going to talk about first here?
Well, I just wanted to summarize what the issue of the great work is, because normally when people hear that phrase, the great work, it sounds like something far too great for them when it's not, and it always associates with alchemy. So when you go and read alchemy, you think, what is this stuff? You know, it's so convoluted and complicated, and it's so old that it's kind of lost touch with the modern age, as it were, or we've lost touch with it. A lot of people are into it, which is fantastic, but the great work itself is a lot simpler than it seems when you read about it through alchemical texts, etc., etc. I've tried reading alchemical books since. Are you okay there, dude? Because you've gone all... Oh, I see. The screen's gone dark. Is that all right? Everything okay? I can't hear you.
Now you can hear me, right?
Ah, now I can hear you. Okay.
Yeah, sorry about that.
It's all right.
All right, man.
That's okay.
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so I mean, really, there's just two things that you need to recognize if you want to find your own ascension, and just recognize that you have an inner world of your mind and the outer world that's physics. Doesn't mean you need to be an expert on psychology or physics at all. You just need to get a good enough grasp so you can apply, in terms of psychology, apply basic psychological issues to yourself and see if you're okay, if you have any disorders or anything. You know, keep an eye on yourself. Recognize that most of the world goes through emotional pain, and emotional pain is the source of what is called narcissism. So if people get moany and complaining, and they start pretending they are invulnerable, something's wrong, and they become narcissistic. And there's a lot of that, like an epidemic in the world, because the great answers are not available, and people don't release themselves from their own angst, if you like, and misunderstandings. So to get a sense of your own psychology is a really good thing, but also the outside world, you might call natural science, is supposed to lead you to an understanding of duality. That's the focus. And you need to be able to recognize the distinction between dual opposites, like the time we go through and timelessness as an opposing concept. If they are opposites, they both exist. Likewise, stillness and motion both exist. Like in a galaxy, you have a central point around which motion occurs. The central point is a point of stillness. So stillness and timeless are the same issue. Motion and time are the same issue. This is the concept of duality that becomes an archetype that I'm talking about now, because that's what you end up focusing on. So the issue of your own activity in life, as you learn things that increase your understanding, you become less selfish and more selfless, because you end up realizing that we're all part of the same being. And when you understand that for yourself, that by itself makes you more selfless, and you start doing more things for other people and realizing that there's no point in competing with anybody else. So you're rising above your own ego in this sense. There's no need to think you have to negate your ego, because another word for the ego is psyche, and you can't run away from it. You can't run. Yeah, the psyche is the ego. It's the same base thing. You can break the ego down into 8 different parts if you want to go into the yogi philosophy, but to stick with the basic idea, the ego is the psyche, and you cannot run away from it. You can't run away from yourself. So I've heard a lot of advice from spiritual groups that say you have to ignore your ego, but that's impossible, because it's you yourself. You can't ignore yourself. You have to apply basic psychological understanding to your own self to see if you're okay. You know, anything that stops you from having your own peace of mind means there's something not quite right. And I wanted to point out that when you find the truth itself, it's the greatest understanding, and understanding brings peace. automatically, you know. So when you understand the greatest, you have the greatest peace within yourself, and that stays with you forever from then on.
Wow,
It
that
never
makes perfect sense.
yeah, it never goes from then on. It's the most profound experience. The issue of finishing and becoming ascended is really the issue of attracting your highest self to you, which we call God. God is not an alien thing. It is literally the highest aspect of your own self. And we attract it to us because like attracts like. So if you become selfless, more selfless, away and move away from your ego and recognize that the truth is more important than your ego, you are literally going to attract God to yourself. And God, who is your higher self, will initiate contact with you at a certain point that is very favorable for you. You'll never know when it's going to happen. It took me completely by surprise. But it turned out to be the most favorable moment in my life for that to occur, because I had several days after on my own, such that when you have that union and contact, it blisses you out so much, and you fall in love as well, very deeply. And so you don't have any wish to do anything. So it's not good to have that happen to you while you're doing lots of physical work. So this happened to me in the...
Can I ask you something real quick before we go?
Yeah.
Now, when you said you attract your highest self, now does that lend credence to the you may have multiple yous in different timelines thing?
No. We're talking about what we call God is misunderstood in the West really badly, because people don't associate themselves with it already. It's nothing more than the most perfect dimensionless part of you that is ineffable. And the reason you're here in life is because it's ineffable. There is no definition. And when you want to solve a problem, you have to define the question in the first place. That when you do that, you will get a solution. So the problem with the ineffable is that there is no definition. Therefore, you come into physical life to find that definition, which is singular pointed truth. The ineffable by itself is associated with unconditional love, and the poignant truth is truth. So love has to find the truth to become complete. See, in the human body, that relates to the heart and the mind. So love has to rise up and find the truth where wisdom is, and wisdom is at the center of your head.
Our angel has arrived. She is here.
Ah, Danny. Yeah.
Hi.
Hello, Danny.
I'm glad to be able to talk with you too. I'm sneaking
great.
in. I know you helped me a lot when I was going through my process over the summer.
Yeah.
You know,
was that me or Steve?
Know.
We're getting feedback from somewhere.
Right.
You might have to unplug your headphones there, Danny.
Okay, hold on. Okay, hello?
Yep, much better.
Okay. All right. Sorry to barge in here.
That's okay.
Are we getting feedback again?
This end.
Huh?
It sounds good at my end.
Okay, good. All right, we're good. Go ahead,
Okay.
Danny.
Okay. Yeah, you helped me out a lot over the summer, like you said. I mean, I've been on this journey since I was a young child, and it gets to be lonely when nobody else knows what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And just to be able to, see somebody that you can relate to.
Yes, yeah, that's right. Yeah, I agree. I've had issues with that as well myself. Thinking, before I spoke to you, for instance, I thought I was completely on my own in every single way, shape, and form, apart from the immediate people in my life, and I wouldn't be able to relate to anyone. You know.
Right.
But over time, I found more and more people who actually understand what I'm saying, and it's really surprising to me, because I was talking like this from the word go from 4 years ago. And
Right.
I just got the impression that I was wasting my time talking online in general, because everyone had their own
Yeah.
thing going on and their own ideas, you
Yeah,
know.
exactly. That's what I found. I kind of jumped in there like 2012, 2014, and started putting my viewpoints out there, and everybody was so caught up in ego, just
Yeah, yeah,
everybody
yeah.
was like, "Oh, I'm at the top of the mountain," and not wanting to look around at any other points of view.
All right, hang
Yeah,
on, guys.
that's right.
We're getting a really bad feedback echo again on yours. Is it echoing when I talk, you guys?
No, you're fine with me.
It's echoing when
Mine.
she talks, right?
Okay, you guys go ahead and visit for a minute. I'm just gonna mess around and see if I can fix it.
Okay.
Oh, I know what it is.
Okay.
Okay, can you hear me better now?
Yeah.
Okay, I was watching the chat too, so
Oh
I
yeah.
just left that off my
Yeah. You
screen.
can't do that. It'll mix it up.
Yep,
Is it better
sorry.
now, guys? Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, Danny, you're wonderful. I feel like you were my connection to Phil, and for that I appreciate, and I appreciate everything you've taught me too, because you've opened my eyes to several aspects of enlightenment that I had never would even considered, and I think together we're gonna kick some ass, and I appreciate you guys.
Yeah, I feel like just the whole kind of spiraling, people are starting to get it, people are starting to genuinely seek truth. And I think there's going to be a whole new movement going on. I'm
Yes.
optimistic for
Yeah,
the future.
yeah, I feel that as well, actually.
Hmm. Yeah, because
It's as if. Go on.
yeah, I've just found, in the last couple of months, been running into more and more people that actually, know what I'm talking about and have been on similar life journeys. So I think it's just going to kind of keep
Yeah,
spiraling into something cool.
yeah, yeah. I agree. I agree. I get the impression that the last few years have been such that a lot of people have been trying to find out what is important and what's not. So there's a lot of working through it to see if it's actually useful. And more seem to be getting it, I feel. I
Yeah.
noticed that anyway.
Yep.
Is that your place there, Danny?
Yeah. Oh,
Right.
I'm on a YouTube show. Yeah, I just moved. I finally got a house. I didn't think that I would ever have a house because I went through that purging process of, letting go of everything in my life. And I
Yeah.
just put it out into the universe. I said, okay, I'm ready to have a house. And 3 days later, somebody actually bought me a house.
Right. Wow.
It's that easy.
Yeah.
Nice. I want a host. I want a host. No, I got one. I'm happy. That's awesome, though.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there anything you want to ask Phil straight out, or?
So after you had your moment of bliss, like really merging with God, have you ever felt that again? That immense feeling.
Okay, that's a long story. I don't want to go on and on about it because it's a really long story, but it's months and months and months. Like this song, you get very used to it.
Mm-hmm.
It made me cry every day for 15 months.
Yep.
So then the crying sort of dried up, and I just sort of carried on my life, and I basically feel like that all the time, out into a usable, manageable version of the original falling in love.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's all about falling in love, really.
Yeah. Yep.
Hey, Danny, as much as we want to look at your pretty face, could you shut your video feed off?
There you go.
What's that?
I was asking Danny if she could shut her video, so we just see her symbol.
I gotcha.
Because otherwise it'll go. This is why people pay for webinar on Zoom. You know what I mean? Because Hangouts does this for some reason. Probably because everybody's going through the Google server.
Right. Okay. No problem. I was going to ask you, Danny. What have you ever experienced that particular issue of merging with your higher self in the past? Have you come close to it? Have you?
So I have had experience where I have, I've gone into a pyramid and went through all of the levels of the pyramid, walked up the stairs, went out, sat onto the top of the pyramid, and then it shot me into space, and I went past a cloud, and then I sat and looked over on a cloud. And then I've had other experiences where I was actually, I kind of like fell into this trance, and I was in the process of dying. It's like I felt like I was dying. And then I actually, I died, and I shot into when I died, my sun exploded. If that, I mean, it doesn't make any sense, but when I died, I became a sun, and that sun exploded, and I shot through space, and it was just pure void blackness. I just went through blackness, which I don't know. I mean, I didn't count how long. It just seemed like a long time, and I thought, well, what now? What now? I'm just in blackness. And then I saw this white opening, and then I kind of swam. I went through that white opening, and then I looked down and I saw the cloud, and I thought of it like as a nebula. I mean, I didn't have any reference to what I was looking at, so it looked like just a cloud with kind of like swirling in the center of it, and then I looked around me, and the whole space around me was like God, was like another being, but I was also that being, and that being was talking in my head. And he was saying, like, this is, you go, I mean, probably not the exact words, but he was saying you go into that cloud, and that's where all the elements from the suns, all the, the molecules that come from the sun, come from creation, they go into this, cloud, and then their new life forms. He said this is the part of the universe where new life forms. And then he said lives between lives are remodeled, like reassembled here. It's like the building blocks of creation, and they're put back together. And then they, I mean, from what I got, they eventually go off and you become another sun. You just kind of climb the ladder of creation, like a building block.
Yeah.
And then I went back into the cloud, and then I came to, and I was myself again.
Right. Whoa. See, I get that. I get that. I mentioned last night, for instance, that I had a hologram shoot out of my soul ahead of a crowd of angels, and there are many, many thousands of them, and they've all come back to Earth right now. If that's the case, then all of them are going to be having experiences like that, because we've all been there before.
Yeah, that's what I think, because I've had like visions of this since I was young,
Right.
Like going through, like I remember going through judgment,
You got
Sorry,
a dog there?
Yeah, he gets stuck on the stairs. I'm bringing him back downstairs. He's got little short legs. He's a wiener dog bulldog cross, and he has like a bulldog body and wiener dog legs.
Right.
So it's hard for the little fat guy to get up and down the stairs.
Danielle.
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Go to that the camera with the line in it up on top of the screen and click that. So when you talk, it doesn't switch back and forth to your video and stuff. You know what I mean?
Okay. Is it good now?
So it hides your face. I'm not saying don't want to look at you. I'm just saying.
Okay, I thought it was. Sorry.
No.
Is it good now?
Nope, you're still showing.
Dang it. How about now?
Nope, you're still showing. It's the camera on top of the screen.
Okay, how about now?
Yep. Nope.
Dang it. Sorry.
That's okay. That's fine. You switched it to your back side of your phone now. It's showing us a table. There you go.
Now it's good.
Whoa.
Now it's good. There's our art right there we were talking about, remember?
Yeah. I love that. I love your art, Daniel.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, sorry. I'm kind of technologically handicapped.
You're doing just fine.
I barely figure out how to get on here.
It just froze me there.
Yeah, you're good.
We're back.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep, we should be good.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's why I know when I originally started talking to you over the summer, that's what I was asking you, if you could remember, like, coming back here or things from, you know, your previous life or you know, being an angel, you know.
Cutting out to me, Daniel.
Oh, dang it. Here, you guys can visit for a minute. I'm gonna try to figure this out.
Okay.
Okay, sorry.
You should be fine though, Danny. I mean, I think it's just it's a glitch in a hangout thing, you know. It's just how it is. If you move around your phone and stuff or whatever you're using, that'll happen.
Okay.
Yeah, the signal changes.
All right, I'm sitting still. Can you hear me now?
Yep, we could hear you the whole time.
Okay. So I was wondering, can you remember anything from your past life, or can you remember being an angel before this life?
No, I have no memory from before this life, and I kind of choose that. I don't really want to remember because I'm so focused on the moment and getting things done here now that I don't want to spend time on that sort of thing. You know, I know I was, so that's fine. I'm happy enough with that. So here I am now. You know.
Yeah. I mean
that's just me. That's how I feel about it.
Right.
What gives you the impression that you were here before then, if you don't know for sure?
Hey, you talking to me, Steve?
Yes, sir.
Right. Well, after I saw this light, whenever I saw anything from Egypt, I instantly recognized it, and I can read their symbol.
Hello? Danny?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, Phil froze up.
Not the hieroglyphs. I got the impression that I had been a long time ago. I also recognized the Babylonian material as well.
Yeah, I noticed you have kind of an innate gift with being able to just look at the pictures and immediately knowing what they symbolize.
Yeah, the archetype is there now, and because the archetype is there, you can automatically expand it out to the particular graphic that they're showing.
That's the reason why all of the ancient writings say that the key is in the symbolism, and you know, especially in the Emerald Tablets, he says that over and over and over again. Yeah,
it changes your brain. This illumination, it really does. It actually makes you feel like the top of your head is about a foot higher than it normally is, and the brain itself feels like a solid rock. Yeah, that's true. I couldn't believe it. And there's something very familiar about it as well. It's like, oh, I'm back in this again. It's, you know, that sort of automatic recognition that you know what it is from a long time ago.
Yeah, that's what I get.
Could that be why I'm crying? Because I'm remembering that, and it's been so long since I've experienced it again. I mean, getting closer to where you're at. You know, I mean.
Yeah. Go on.
I think you're starting to merge, you know, starting to seek God, starting to merge with him, and it's just such an emotional process, you know.
That's right.
Well, I don't need
Yeah,
any
I
more
agree.
emotion because
I
I already
agree.
had enough.
I totally agree with that. That is the signature of it.
Yeah, I know. I've been bawling my eyes out constantly too.
Oh, really? The last few days?
Well,
Or,
yeah, for the last several months, probably through summer.
well, you have good reason for that, though, sweetheart.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not just that. It's just a
Go on.
combination of multiple things.
Yeah, you're freezing up on us, Phil.
Yeah. I just lost you there for a few seconds.
Okay.
Okay,
You're
my
back
signal
now.
should be good. Yeah, I reckon it's my Wi-Fi router. It does that sometimes. It loses and comes back in to refresh or something. I don't know why. So yeah, I'm cool. I'm cool.
Okay.
Well, yeah, I just missed everything that was said for the last 15 seconds or so. So I don't know what you said.
So how are you coping with your normal everyday life now? I mean, that's where I'm at, is realizing that, you know, I'm in this spiritual process, but I also need to eat and pay my electric bill.
Yeah, right. Carrying on as normal.
Yeah.
Basically. So normal and balanced anyway after that. So I don't appear to be, anything other than a regular person to anybody else. And I can see they don't realize it. For instance, I have the light on my phone. There it is.
Yeah.
And whenever anyone sees that, they don't ask me about it. It's just, they're oblivious. But when
Yeah.
someone has asked me, all I say, well, it's the pineal light. I say, what's that? No one has a clue, so it's very difficult to bring it into conversation. Within 2 or 3 sentences or 2 or 3 questions, you've gone deep into something that blows them away or relate understandable, really.
Yeah. That's where I
So,
find, you know,
right.
going out into normal life, that's where you start to feel so lonely, because, you know, then you're surrounded by so many people, but yet it's like you have to hide yourself, or you can't. You have these amazing experiences that you want to shout on the top of your rooftop, and there's
Yeah.
no ears to hear.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I can relate to that as well. Yeah. I mean, really, all I want to do is other people who are try about it and want to learn about it, and I just want to explain everything about it to them, because it is absolutely amazing and it is real. That's the thing. I get the impression a lot of people think it can't be real because it's just too much to take. But when you put it into words to somebody else, it sounds more fantastical than the normal way that it feels to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I've told people about it. Like I told my mom about some of my experiences, and she just says, "Oh, you've had an active imagination since you were a child." You know,
Yeah,
it's like,
right.
that's not
That's
my,
right.
because I mean, I went through the process of breaking
No,
down into molecules. You know, like I became nothing but molecules,
right.
and that
Right.
wasn't my imagination.
Yeah. Yeah. This is not the physical body. See, you can experience any aspect of material existence that you think
What is that
exists.
blinging noise?
It's someone called Paula who's pinging up on my screen. She keeps writing messages.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's Rainbow Warrior or whatever. That's Paula. Yeah, stop
hang
it,
on.
Rainbow.
Yeah. I need to close that down because I've got to close it.
She's in chat, so I know who she is.
Switch that off.
Yeah, Rainbow Wart. She's pretty cool. There's a lot of cool people in the chat here that are
Oh yeah,
very with it. you know? I've met more people that are aware in the last 2 months than I have in my entire lifetime.
Right. Me too. Actually, and I mean, I thought I was being awakened, but as soon as I met Phil, I realized everything that I thought wasn't what I really thought it was.
Yep.
You know, and that's sad to say, but it's like the fourth time I had to throw my truth away. If you can understand what I'm saying there.
Yep, I get that. Yep.
Yeah, it's just because the after how many thousands of years of more and more misunderstanding, the truth is so deep. It's very simple, but it's very deep, and because of that, misunderstandings are now, and we've got the whole lot of it on the internet. You know, and if you see that bit, it's at this level. If you see that bit, it's a deeper level, and there's always seemingly a deeper level to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, but getting to this light in this lifetime seems to be the core of the mysteries itself, because I can't see anything, because it literally is the link between heaven and creation, the underworld with the light, as I've come to understand it. And I've spent a lot of time researching since, astounded at the number of scriptures and religions that are focused on this issue.
Yeah, I think once you understand that key point and you go back and read, ancient texts and, religious manuscripts, they take on a whole nother light. You can actually understand what they're talking about. And then you kind of have a sadness about religion in a whole, because, they miss a huge portion of it.
That's right. That's right. They're missing out on the actual point of it, I feel.
Right.
You know? Yeah, like when people go to a church, they think they're doing the right thing and that they're going to get the result of what the church is about simply by going to that church.
Right. And then you have preachers that are acting like marriage counselors, and they tell you you're going to go to hell if you see a psychologist, and then everything outside of their little square of imagination is hell, and you're an evil,
right.
You're a demonic possessed, outsider if you're outside of the cube. And that's kind of what I believed with, it was, and it's a sad thing, because the spiritual experience can be so beautiful and so meaningful, and it's really the only thing that even matters here. I mean, it's the only thing, is your personal connection to God, to the all. Like, that's our purpose here, to make that connection, and then to share it with other people, and that just gets lost in translation.
Yeah. To be honest, I've felt the need to increase my vocabulary and the succinctness of how I put things, because it's very easy to be misunderstood as well.
Yeah.
I also felt in with the first 2 years, 4 years ago, nobody would give me the chance to say anything more than a couple of sentences. So I was like, there's not enough time to get into the subject with people.
Right. Attention span has a lot to do with what you just said. People just don't have the time, and it harkens to what we were talking about yesterday when we're on that treadmill,
Yep.
Phil, you there? Oh, you cut out. You cut out again.
Hangouts is giving you a hard time today.
Yeah. I lost you guys there for 10 seconds.
So do you want to expand on the cosmic garden idea? That's just what I've been thinking about that. I think that's complete truth.
Right.
Do you want to talk some more about that?
Yeah, are you referring to the cosmos?
Yeah, that we're, that's kind of our purpose, that, our purpose in merging with God is to become these kind of enlightened, illuminated beings that then grew to become gardeners or caretakers on different levels of cosmic existence.
Yeah, absolutely. And there are many, many levels to it, far beyond what we can perceive as well, you know. So it's difficult to talk about that because it's difficult to relate to it. But yeah, the cosmos is a garden. It has certain physical qualities. It's doing certain things. On the outer boundary, it's expanding at the speed of causality, for instance. I'm very into physics, so I've analyzed it from a physics point of view, you know.
Yeah, yep.
But
hang on. I actually have a physicist now. You know, because every good Nibiru channel's got a physicist.
Oh, really? You have a physicist?
Yeah, right here. Phil's my physicist.
Oh. Yeah.
Sorry, I just had to throw my slant on it. That's why I call myself slanted. But there we go. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so it was only like from 4 years ago I realized that the process is that we communication with our true self. Yeah, but that's not the end. You know, there's a lot of thinking, well, is there anything beyond that? Well, what is beyond that? What's it all about after that? Because if that's the point and you've done it, well, what about everything else? So there's all kinds of things. One of them is to garden the cosmos, because you're one with God and God is dimensionless. Anything is possible with God in those terms. So I mean, the cosmos is, as I know now, an ever-changing thing in an infinite cosmic vacuum that we would call outer space. And it's only when we turn ourselves inside out from a physical body that our mind or mental space expands and becomes one with the outer space. That this is why things appear to you outside when you're in the underworld, but not when you're simply in a body in the same outer space region anyway, because here we are. When you're out and you're in the underworld outside of your body, can you generate things in that empty space, as it were? But in that condition, you can't see anything physical, so it's a pitch black empty void when you're in that state. Therefore, you can invent anything you like, but it's no use because it's invented and it has no teaching quality. However, if you imagine that you've made it all ended, it can be a beautiful thing for you to generate your own lovely garden, if you like, you know, knowing what it is and the context of what it is, as well as gardening the cosmos. Because I feel as though when I leave this physical life, I will have an eternal body, and as well as gardening the cosmos, there's R&R, you know. But gardening as well is not hard work, I feel. Now, you know, when they do things, they do a bit of work, and they go to a planet for a bit of rest and relaxation.
Oh, wow, I just had
kind of thing. There's
that's awesome. Sorry, I just had a brain an epiphany when you said that. But go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interject.
So that's what I've had a vision like this, where, you know, one of those times where you're kind of taken out and looking at things in space. And I saw space in this whole grid patchwork kind of wrapped itself around space. And then these houses popped up, and each house had a being in them, and then each being had one piece of the grid patch, and they were gardening. But that being was a higher being, but they were connected to an earth, like a human, and the deeds, the actions of the human, like every time that they did, you know, kind acts, you know, charity, acts of love, it was making their garden grow.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So I can relate to that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that, us as the human on the physical level, that's what we're actually generating fruits for our higher levels of existence.
Yeah, that's right. I agree with that. Totally. Yeah. And it's not necessarily a physical product. It's of a more subtle nature that the gross normal experience of everyday life here wouldn't recognize. Yeah.
Right. Yep. But then there was also forces of chaos. There was like this forces of chaos that were coming in on the higher levels, like, you know, and trying to disrupt the whole natural flow of things.
Yeah.
And I think we have, you know, the same force of chaos, obviously, on the earth. I mean, I don't think that there's really an evil, you know, but I think that there is chaos. You know, there's unity and then there's division and chaos.
Yes. Yeah, that's a good word to use for it. Yeah, you could compare the word chaos with ignorance as well. It's a chaotic state of mind.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, it's a yeah, I think that's our whole, you know, as gardeners, I think it's you're gardening order and unity instead of like order, unity, and harmony. Like we should all be functioning as one unit as a whole.
That would be
Instead
considered the common good, right? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, just realizing that we're all a part of one body. We're all one. You know, we're all a part of the body of God. So why are we slinging out hatred and you know?
Well, I think people want to be right before they're I think people want to be first before and right before they're really true. You understand what I mean by that? That's what I think the whole media thing has gone wrong these days. You there, Phil? Nope, we lost Phil.
Lost in translation. Lost in Google Hangouts. The void of Google Hangouts.
Yeah, I don't know what this. You know, sometimes I wish I would have just paid for the subscription, but you know, I ain't got that kind of money in the winter. But you know, I hate asking anybody for money, so I'm not going to do that. Except for gas, you know, I'll ask for gas money, but.
Yeah. Do you want me to get off? Do you think it works better if there's just two people on?
No, I think it's on Phil's end because your and I connection is working fine. I think it's on Phil's Wi-Fi, like he was saying.
Oh yeah.
I'll send him another link and see if he. Yeah, but what were you talking about, Danny? About the gardeners? The epiphany I had was the in the Emerald Tablets they speaks of going to, well, how they created planets by coalescing the ether. So it pretty much, you know, as a gardener, you know. You there, Phil? You back with us, bud?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Awesome.
I don't know what that is. I don't know whether it's my laptop or something else.
I'm gonna try to change it so it doesn't switch back and forth on the video.
Right.
I don't know how to do that though. I'm gonna figure it out. But go ahead, you guys keep talking.
Are you there, Danielle?
Yep, I'm here.
Oh, I can hear you now.
Yep. Yeah, that's been my main thing lately, is just envisioning us as gardeners and trying to, but not like gardening vegetable garden, but like tending to unity and organization.
Yeah, that's right.
And
Yeah, that's how I see it.
I think that there's a force, you know, that we're all linked together with a force, and that when we're united, you know, just miraculous things will happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Is that the light that unites us, Phil?
What's that, dude?
Is that the light itself that is the surfactant that bonds us together?
No, I wouldn't say that. I think that's the end product of your process by going through a planetary school, if you like. We're all connected anyway, in terms of the concept of unconditional love or the ineffable spirit. We're all part of that spirit already, all of us. There's no one outside of that. But every individual has free will as well, so that you can choose to ignore it or not.
Right.
That's how I see it.
Awesome.
But I mean, do you think that there's some kind of pinpoint force of chaos right now that is causing so much division and separation? You know, you look through your media, or is it just a balance? You know, are we becoming united so then there's more chaos as a balance to that?
I would say at the subtler levels, like on the mental plane in the environs of the earth, maybe you could say the amount of ignorance registers in that layer of the earth, or that part of the earth, and that registration has an existence. If there are so many angels, why was there any need for us to come here? Do you know what I mean? If you take us off the planet, what happens, and why would that happen? Why is there such a big difference for us to come here? We must be having an influence on it simply by being here at subtler levels as well that we don't normally think about.
Do you think they don't want Earth to turn into what Mars turned into, maybe?
I would say a lot of people are so used to being in control and in charge to some extent, they just don't want to lose it or leave it. It's just been ingrained for so long that it's very difficult to change it. It's set up physical systems that are very difficult to change as well. You know, it takes a lot of overhaul, and maybe it can be done slowly, but I don't think there's a wish for that to change anyway. So it doesn't happen, and all sorts of excuses are made to prevent it.
Money and power, main reasons, right?
Say again, sorry, dude.
Money and power, probably the main reasons.
Yeah, money corrupts, power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts, absolutely. You know, if you apply that to God, God does not have absolute power, that he has nothing to do with creation in a sense. It carries on by itself because it's all about free will and choice to reconnect with the ultimate spirit again. You know, that's the essence of free will. So in a sense, heaven has nothing to do with creation in this sense.
You would never think you would hear anything like that from a spiritual, enlightened person in our old paradigm. You understand what I mean by that?
Yeah, that's right. Because there's no personal direct contact with that truth from most people on the planet, I feel.
That's amazing, man.
Yeah, apart from the influx of angels that are here that are getting back to where they should be.
Yeah, that's what I think is really going to help this paradigm. I think that the angels that are here need to step into their positions, you know, like we were born into amnesia and then put into a world of chaos and
that's right.
division. And I think people are slowly stepping into their positions, and I think that will cause us just a spiraling, you know, effect of that will be good. I mean, I'm gonna be hopeful. There's a huge paradigm that needs to be disassembled.
Yeah, this is a very powerful thing that we've done. I feel it's extremely powerful, and it will have an effect automatically. You know, I put it down to just automatic.
Yeah.
So I have no fear about it at all. You know, I see nothing but good things coming personally. Even if there are bad things here and there, there's nothing but good overall because of what's happening.
All right, I got one more question that I wanted to ask you yesterday. That I think I asked you it, but we got sidetracked on something else. Now, that video that I made about the ruckus on the planet, do you think our industrialization and all of the extra frequency that we're creating is causing Gaia to want to get rid of the cockroaches, per se?
Wanting to give in to the cockroaches?
Get rid of the cockroaches. Or do you believe that?
Yeah, there's all kinds of ways of looking at what the Earth is and what it's doing. You could think of it as Earth is sending out a signal saying, "I'm in trouble here, guys. Come over and help."
I agree with that.
Not in any sense. It's very difficult to convey that to a regular person because they just think, "Well, what are you talking about?"
Right, and then they harken back to the we were put here, you know, in the Bible. You know, they'll bring up the Bible when it's convenient, obviously, and they'll say, "Well, the Bible says to go forth and multiply and tame the earth."
Yeah, right.
They pull that out of their head.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
or we pull that out of our head. I hate saying they. We.
I think it never meant destroy. Tame the earth doesn't mean destroy the earth. It It meant to garden the earth. You
That's
know,
right.
No, I'm
pruning
on
it,
the same
make it
page as you. I'm on
beautiful.
the same page. I'm just saying that's what
Don't,
people say.
yeah,
Yeah,
prune it,
right.
make it beautiful. Work with nature. Learn how to work with the forces and, you know, the
Yeah,
forces of
that's right.
nature rather than do everything to go above it and destroy it.
Yeah, and the strange thing there in my mind is the contents of the Bible were written hoping to give people something that they could go on and continue with, because in the old world they simply built pyramids around the center of a community that represented everything to do with life and the meaning of life.
Right.
But we've abandoned that modality
Explain that further about the pyramid building thing, please.
Yeah. There's tens of thousands of pyramids all over the planet, because it used to be a place where the purpose of life was the core essence of your existence while you were here, and you were taught about it. You were given the choice to whether complete it in this lifetime or not, because you got free will. And you might not want to. You might want to have a few lifetimes. You know, it was up to you. It is up to you still. But the pyramid at the core of your community would represent the archetype of everything that you would possibly need to know, because I can associate the pyramid with all kinds of different levels of our appreciation of our existence, from physics to hermetics to the archetype, you know, as a foundation, the clay that makes bricks, which go together to make the pyramid, which is capped and becomes a diamond. That's the archetype that I got, that I was shown in my mind's eye.
Was there a capstone originally on the pyramids?
Oh yeah.
Why are they gone now?
I would have thought, because it's the Great Pyramid, it's probably the most important pyramid on the planet in terms of illumination, because the Great Pyramid specifically, as I learned from having this light, is a representation of the pineal gland of the earth.
Oh, and the connection's severed without the capstone.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. It's symbolic as well. If they remove the capstone, it's like saying we're taking over this planet. You know, this is your main pyramid. If we have power to ruin your main pyramid, then we own your planet.
Mm-hmm.
The people on this planet, they knew.
Yeah.
I mean, people today, the Masonic institutions in England know full well what the Great Pyramid represents. They just keep it to themselves.
Yeah, they hijacked the symbols, plus they hijacked the power, plus they hijacked the Earth's consciousness.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, then you have the religious organizations that then spin it around and say, you know, all those symbols and that's all evil.
That's right.
You know, that's all of the devil.
That's right.
It's complete. Everything's inverted. It's just like
right.
upside down world.
Yeah, the world is upside down. Yeah.
How do you think the pyramids were actually built? Physically built?
Yeah, personally, I don't know. I've not investigated that. I've not asked about that. I only asked about the symbolic meaning of the pyramid, and I was shown a papyrus that told me about clay that makes diamonds in my mind.
See what you can do by Saturday to get us that answer, bud. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, I have thought about it.
Yeah.
But personally, it's not the kind of thing I find very important.
You're totally right there. It's already there. Yep. I got you.
That's okay. I understand, you know, wanting to know such things. I wanted to know how it was made as well, but I'm very focused on what the most important things are, because there's so much information to convey. I have to stay with that focus. You know, I feel like I have to, you know.
Yes, and we're not helping very much by cracking jokes and talking about our little personal qualms, are we?
No, you're absolutely fine, dude.
All right. Well, your
sense of humor is a good thing.
Thank you. I try anyway. I try, aside from my crying that I've been doing for the last 4, 5, 6 days. Do you have anything else to ask right off the bat, Danny?
What would you, to somebody, you know, seeking illumination, what text, like what line of spirituality would you recommend? What you know, like what ancient text? Do you think the first step would probably be learning Kabbalah? learning the.
I wouldn't recommend that, but that's what I did personally. The only book I would recommend to a random person, let's say, because Kabbalah is extremely deep and it's beyond most people. When most people see that, they go, "Oh, I'm not going to read that. It's too weird." So the book I would recommend to anyone is the Bhagavad Gita, without a doubt. Yeah, that's my number one book.
Because that represents the personal journey.
Don't you think that the Emerald Tablets are like the Dr. Seuss of alchemy?
Yes, but unfortunately, the great depth of Hermeticism is not revealed, and I would like to reveal that myself, because I can see far more in it than is normally spoken about. So I may even do a piece of work on that. But the Bhagavad Gita is the personal level and the very simple. It's not simplistic. It's deep, but it's simple, and it communicates very well, very succinctly. And the reason I advocate the Gita is because when I finished reading it, I read it in one afternoon, and when I finished reading it, I totally recognized the person called Krishna as my highest self that I met. I said, that is him. That's exactly this person.
So how do you spell that book you just said? How do you spell the name of it?
The Bhagavad Gita?
Yeah.
Oh, B-H-A-V-A, Bhava. No, sorry, Bhaga, B-H-A-G-A, Bhagavad, V-A-D.
All right.
And then a new word is G-I-T-A.
G-I-T-A. Okay, thank you, sir.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, that was pretty good if you could spell that right off your head.
Oh.
Well, he's been enlightened, remember?
Enlightened with spelling.
But isn't that essentially what enlightenment is? Everything just comes to you, right?
Yeah, that's right. It is like that. And depending on your conscious focus, you will get very deep insight on that, whatever you're focused on consciously.
So I am on the right path when I sit and meditate, and I do get answers. It might take me longer, but I mean, that means that we're...
Yeah, you don't need to have the light to get answers just by using logic and being calm and thinking about stuff. You can find out a lot of things like that anyway, you know.
Gotcha.
The thing with the light is the absolute focused pinnacle of what can be called truth. And because of that, you simply work back from it, going through all the stuff that you remembered from before, and all of a sudden you understand everything, because a lot of it is based on that.
Awesome. Any more questions, Danny?
Yeah, I was just gonna agree. I mean, that happens to me. I kind of focus on a subject, and then that's why I don't sleep at night, is because all the information starts pouring in, and then you have to, you might just get little words or snippets of it, and then you have to research into this and that, and it just leads you down all these paths. Yeah.
I love spending time going through truthful things and recognizing them and understanding them. I love that so much that I simply wish I could do that most of the time, because to me that is a joy.
Yeah, me too. I've had 4 months of not working, and that's all I've been doing. All the days just go by. I wake up and I start reading, and I'll have a dream, or I'll have kind of a download of information, and then I jump out of bed and I start reading and like looking for all this information, and that's all I want to do.
Another thing is, do you usually get most of your information right after sleep, Phil?
Yeah, every morning I'll wake up with an issue on my mind. Because I run a Facebook page called Illumination. I always wonder what can I say about this issue, what can I say about that, and something will literally just come out, and it will be fully formed, and I can just write it down straight away in great depth and very succinct language, because I've developed that language for 4 years now to be able to express it. So yeah, every day there is a new focus, if you like. Yeah. I mean, look at the size of the Bible. How many books are there in there? And that whole set of books is all about this one subject. So how come there's all that material?
Exactly.
This light turns out to be what has been referred to, I think it's in Greek myth, as the man with many ideas. because it's the creator. So everything in the cosmos is generated in a sense from that principle.
What is a hysteresis or the hysteresis? What is that? Is that the same thing or?
What's that?
The word I heard this word from Ken Wheeler. The hysteresis or hysteresis. I think is that what I'm thinking. Maybe I'm thinking of the wrong word. I don't know.
That's right. I'm just not familiar with that word.
Yeah.
I know Ken Wheeler. I know of Ken Wheeler. He's very good. He's very intelligent.
Yeah, he is. He's to the pompous side of things, right? He's good at it, though.
Yeah. He's quite flippant.
Yeah. Oh, you call it flipping over there?
Yeah.
Yeah, we call it pompous.
Gotcha. Oh, I see. Yeah. I understand why you say that. Yeah. I know what you mean. His information is good, though. You know, he's got a good beat on that.
He's got the physics sides down big time.
Yeah, I like his mathematical appreciation as well.
Yep.
His Pythagorean mathematical appreciation is very good with him.
Do you think that's another thing that corrupted our understanding of what is the whole particle bumping science side? You know, the quantifying of everything, and you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's the science has the mindset that it feels as though it needs to define physical material in mathematical models so that they can mimic events in physical reality with mathematical models. It's simply a mindset. It doesn't mean you're going to find illumination by knowing those things, and it doesn't mean your life is going to be better by knowing those things. It's almost like intellectual endeavor for its own sake.
So that's the renaming of things isn't necessarily bad. It's just people are thinking that, you know, because they said that they debunked the ether, and now they're calling it dark matter, right? Am I right?
I don't know whether I've been following physics for 30 years, and I don't know whether you've noticed, but they do this a lot. For a few years, they'll say this is what it's called. Next few years, oh no, we have to change that because it's got this new quality that we found out. So let's call it this now. You know, naming things doesn't really matter. It doesn't change what the thing is.
Right. I think it just fills their boots with fake intellect, right?
Yeah, it is kind of like that. Yeah.
It gives people something to do. If somebody's, you know, has a job and they need job security, it gives them job security to rename things every couple of years.
That's a good way to think of it too.
Yeah,
there is that. Absolutely, that exists. Yeah.
That's how I'm a nurse, and that's how my field of is. It's they just come up with, you know, you have people in a desk that have never set foot in a hospital. You know, and they need job security, so they redefine your job every couple of weeks and give you more things to do, and you know, it's just job security.
All right, let's get back to the structured part of what we were going to talk about here, so we can get, you know, what do you think about that? Are we doing just fine by what we're doing here? I mean, we can
be structured, Steve. I'm impressed that you're going to be structured.
Well, hey, I want to get the message out, you know, and I want to. Phil's got a better idea of, and that's why I'm turning to him, asking him if he thinks we should be structured or not, or if he thinks we're doing just fine the way we're doing here.
This is a good conversation, I must say.
Okay, good.
There was only one the lower portion of this piece of paper that I put together that I wanted to convey. That's all, and it's very simple. But it is quite interesting, and it just links the idea of the square and the circle. When you square a circle, the circle is the infinite, the square is the gaining of measure and poignancy or definition. And right there is the essence of the entirety of existence from heaven to earth. In its simplicity, the three layers, you know, heaven, underworld, and creation. Those are the three main ayers, but the creation is multi-leveled in and of itself. And a lot of that is out of our remit or out of our awareness in normal everyday life.
Were you just going to call that Rima?
Remit.
Yeah.
Remit. I was thinking of the word remit.
Oh. But what is that word Rima?
Our purview thinking, that kind of thing. You know, the kind of stuff we get to experience on our daily basis, but the more subtle things that are not accepted by regular people, you know, that do exist, but they're so subtle, no one bothers with it.
Right. Go ahead. Let's get to
Yeah,
the square
the
and
only
circle.
reason I mentioned the circle and the square is because they're exactly the same in a way as you can relate them directly to what the Christianity calls the two keys to heaven. The keys to heaven are the heart and the mind, but you can also call that the circle and the square, because the heart is to do with love and the mind has to do with truth. The love is undefined, but truth is singular definition. And there you have the two extremes of singular nature together in completeness and wholeness. So unity and wholeness together as one, a perfect marriage, which is of the nature of heaven.
So the perfectness of everything has to kind of align with the numerical construct too. Like how a circle, you know, if you're say you're a mechanical minded analytical person and you're looking at this from the outside, is that why the circle is 360 degrees and the square is 360?
Oh, you're talking about degree numbers and that area of
because
numerical.
it seems like the layers that you're speaking of on the spiritual level and the God level actually express themselves in numbers and angles and geometric patterns. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean. I would say that the creative principle is the mathematician without a brain, and that God is not a mathematician. People often say, well, God must be a mathematician. No, I don't see that at all. God is a personal, loving being. That's how I see God.
It's like the two hemispheres of the brain working together. You have your creative force and then your logical, you know,
that's it.
Numbering, you know. You have to have your two sides of the brain.
Yeah, so God is the personal being, and his son, the light, is the mathematician who has no spirit, basically, because it is a thing. It's an object, a formed object.
Yeah.
What's important is you and God, because you are the same nature as God ultimately. And that's why you can recognize each other and merge together and become one. If you couldn't do that, you would be a different thing to God, but God is all there is, so you must be the same as God.
So within us, the layers or the magnitude are, you know, the onion layers of creation are when the two bringing the two together to make one is our mind, our both sides of our mind, as well as both sides of our personality, as well as the heart and the mind. Am I right by thinking that?
Yeah. It's like saying that the tree of life can be applied to your head by itself, your body, the planet as well, and the solar system, and the galaxy as a whole, and yet it's the same blueprint.
Right. Yeah. From the atom to the galaxy.
Sorry, right. Yeah.
Sorry, Danny.
It's the same sequential thing, ordering of like you were mentioning earlier about numbers and you know, is God a mathematician? Well, the creator is a mathematician, but he's an automatic mathematician, just churning things out in an automatic way. So it's indifferent.
Right.
Yeah, it's bound to be mathematical and logical. Everything physical is based on logical sequencing. Really.
Are you familiar with Dolores Cannon?
Yes.
Do you subscribe to, or do you think her New Earth model thing that she talked about was a good way of looking at it, or is it just the end product of what we're facing now?
I'm not too sure about what her thesis on that concept is. I'm familiar with her, but I'm not an expert on what she's saying.
Okay.
I like the fact that she recognizes life everywhere and that there's interaction with that life, even on a spiritual level. That's what I like about her, but I'm not an expert on what she said.
All right, I hope that answered Aaron's question.
Yeah, Dolores is saying that there's that the Earth is basically. Oh, can he hear?
So I couldn't answer the concept. Did I disappear?
Yeah, you disappeared. And then all of a sudden you went. Blah, 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 blah.
Oh my God! Right. So yeah, I was just saying. I think Dolores Cannon talking about maybe the New Earth thing is going to be the result of the influx of angelic presence on this planet. That's how I would see it.
Yeah, that's what the Bible says, that basically the sons of God will come back onto Earth, and then they, through faith, will reform the Earth.
Right.
You know, so I think, you know, just being of presence here will have like a domino effect.
Yeah, yeah, that's how I see it as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think, I mean, I think it's starting. I think, you know, this is the dawning of the new age, and it's, you know, it's gonna go.
Another aspect of Dolores Cannon was the karma thing. Now, is karma going to hold you back from reaching your higher self?
In my mind, no. The word karma is the same as the word sin, which really means mistake making while you are in a state of ignorance. That's all. It's just your activities while you're ignorant. An ignorant activity is something that doesn't lead you towards your own ascension. In my mind, that's how I see it. It's a simply wasted activity in those terms. That's all.
It's dogma attached to God through the church to help quail the want for the knowledge, right? Is that what you think it is?
I wouldn't attach that to karma or sin, but I think that's happening anyway. That there's a very poor appreciation of the depth of the religious content, let's say. But right. I'm not religious, you know. I have to emphasize I'm not a religious person, and yet I recognize the reality of it because I associate truth with the content of the Bible in the way that I understand it. But I wouldn't be religious. I don't need to go to church.
Maybe that's why I see in you, because you convey the truth to me, but you're still saying the word God, and that's very impressive to me, because if people are just afraid to touch that word nowadays, they're actually just scared of saying God, you know.
Yeah, the association with the word is right. That they think it's an alien thing, because where the heck is God? You know, who is this God? Where is he? What's he doing? Why is he not helping people if he's so nice and kind? It's not like that. It's your highest self, so it's up to you to find it. It's not going to come to you. It's the truth itself, so you have to go to it.
I think your first layer, you're in the law. Like the underworld is the law, and the law generates sin, karma. But once you rise above the law and you enter the level of the power, like the magic, the power, the miracles, then you transcend the law, and you know, karma doesn't apply at that point, because you realize yourself that it doesn't apply.
Right, and I would add to that that all the cosmic manifestation is considered to be a mistake in terms of sin, as if it is a great big sin in and of itself, but it's a necessary sin that allows it to find definition, because it's not the true reality, the cosmos. It's an illusion based from the true reality.
But then you're the ultimate fool to think you can sin within the sin and still get out of sin.
Yeah, right. That's not going to work, I'm afraid.
So we can't party like it's 1999, you're saying, and throw all caution to the wind?
No, there's a great misunderstanding, I feel, with the idea of being able to enjoy your life or have a nice time. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that at all. That's not the point. The point is, what is the overall development that you go through in your life, regardless of how many times you enjoy yourself.
And when you reach the ultimate truth, that actually inadvertently, or just, I don't know, beautifully aligns you with doing the right thing, right?
Yeah. You become, what's that expression they use in the Bible?
Righteous?
No.
Righteous
I used it in a video. I've just lost touch with that word. I love the truth, and God loves the truth. So you become a child of God that is totally accepted as such.
Like an innocent kid before they figure out Santa Claus is fake.
No.
Because that's when I lost my innocence.
I think when you align with the higher purpose, what brings you joy is spreading truth and peace and love and seeing other people happy.
That's right.
You don't have any desire to, go sleep with 20 prostitutes or, whatever. You just kind of lose carnal desire, and your joy comes from spreading peace and love.
Phil, have you lost your want for women?
No, I understand what Danny was saying, but all it is that because you recognize the depth of existence beyond the physical level, you simply wouldn't have sex with someone. You simply wouldn't have sex with someone for the sake of having sex with that person.
Right. I got you.
So you would make love with someone you were in love with instead, because it's far more reward. Not rewarding. It's far more joyful.
Yeah.
Nice. That's beautiful. Yeah, that's how it should be.
Yeah. Sex is normal. Sex is normal. There's nothing wrong with it, but it depends how you use it, like anything else.
So what do you say to the guy that's a porn addict? Is he corrupting himself and stopping himself from going to his higher self, or is his higher self doing the same thing in some room up wherever he's at?
No, someone addicted to anything. The concept, the idea of addiction is not really. It shows that there's a lack of depth and understanding of certain things, because the more you learn and understand, the more you want to understand and rise higher naturally. So you tend not to do things like that. Yeah. I spend most of my time contemplating, for instance. That's one of my favorite things, and getting deeper and deeper into understanding stuff.
Analyzing, right?
Not necessarily analyzing. Experiencing my understanding of things is a joy to me. Yeah, that's one of my main joys.
You didn't mind being alone in the corner?
Reality. Sorry, dude.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying I love perceiving reality in as many ways as possible. It's just a joy to know that certain things are real that I never knew before, and to be able to express it to others to help them. And basically, by doing that, I'm trying to make the world a better place.
Beautiful. Danny.
Yeah, I'm here.
What were you saying now before I rudely interrupted you? I'm sorry.
Oh, this is basically what he recapped. Yeah. That you find joy in higher things rather than rather than carnal things.
Yeah, Phil finished your thought for you, so yeah.
Yeah, right.
He did it pretty eloquently too. So.
Yes, that was beautiful.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
To get back to your square and circle, so Danny Wilton in his quest to square the circle, literally square the circle. That's is that just a futile thing, because it's not really the act of squaring the circle? It's actually figuring out what the conceptual meaning of the square and circle is. You understand what I mean by that?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I actually did that in my third year in mathematics in the degree. One of my main focuses was squaring the circle and the Greek problems they had.
Yeah.
And what you just said is true. The idea of squaring the circle is that it represents the nature of reality overall. So it's a conveyance of the information of reality, whether you can actually do it or not. It has actually been done in Robert Lawler's Sacred Geometry book, using a compass and a pencil and is there any rulers in there? He might have used a ruler at some point, but it's made from arcs, a circle and making arcs. And of course, you need the ruler to make the square in the end. It's very simple to square the circle like that. And the accuracy it has is 1 part in 1,000, I think. So if you wanted the circumference of the circle and the square to be, let's say, 8 centimeters, when you make the square in this fashion, it will be 7.999. It'll be almost 8, so it's almost exact. But in mathematics, they love being horribly precise, and they'll say that squaring the circle is an invalid concept because it cannot be algebraically precisely done. But that's not the point. The point is it's a symbolic way of understanding reality, and mathematicians don't like that for some reason. They don't like metaphysics.
Because it's non-tangible and non-quantifiable.
Yeah, because it hasn't got anything to do with numbers in the end. It's about understanding concepts and relationships and things like this that are not quantifiable. They're qualifiable, maybe, if that's a word. You can qualify them, but you can't quantify them.
Yeah, because they're bean counters.
Yeah, that's what they like. They like the number crunching and the numerical concepts, but that only goes so far. You know, if you want ultimate truth, you have to go beyond that, I'm afraid, because you ain't going to get it just by pursuing that by itself.
Now, even after you found the ultimate truth, you still seek knowledge?
Yeah, in the sense that I like filling out. In the last 4 years, I've realized that there are many ways of seeing the same things. And that's an interesting thing. To be honest, my focus really the whole time has been on what I would call training, because I realized that I'd achieved that, and I had to speak to people naturally, and it was automatic that I would do that. In fact, very soon afterwards, I had a vision of myself as if I'd seen myself. I was looking at myself from 10 feet behind on a stage, talking to a lot of people in an audience, as if I was the god Thoth.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
And because of that, I thought, oh, I see, that's the direction I'm going in. So I'm going to be telling people the truth. And then I read in the Bible that the word of God is the truth. And I realized whenever it says that, it basically means when you speak the truth, you're speaking the word of God. And yet I am not religious, and I do not Bible bash.
I just realized something here, Phil.
Yeah.
My issue with not coming to the complete truth is because I see it in different levels, different layers, at different times, in different perspectives. You understand what I mean by that?
Yeah, there's many ways of seeing these issues. Yeah, even one issue, you might see it in several different ways, because there's lots of different angles to truth and reality.
That's exactly what it is, man.
Yeah, that's what I was telling you the other day. It's like, you know, I wake up with an idea in my head, and then I have to look at, 200 different ways to represent that idea, you know?
Yeah. And
that's what I do.
Yeah, that can go on for a long time. I mean, really, look at the diversity in the universe and the levels of manifestation in the universe beyond what we can even perceive. My goodness me. And that's all come from one principle.
That's incredible, man. Because I have woken up with this, I figured it out feeling, 100 times recently. And then by the end of the day, I'm sitting there with my brain in my lap, drooling on myself, going, I don't know shit.
Yeah, you remember Socrates. One of the things he said was that the start of wisdom is realizing you don't know anything.
Ain't that the truth?
Yeah.
Right. Wow.
Yeah. Do you remember Bill and Ted?
And then, yeah, I remember Bill and Ted.
All we are is dust in the wind, dude.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking of Dude, Where's My Car? Because those movies go hand in hand. But yeah, I remember
Right.
now.
See, that's where my dad's at. He's, retired, and he sits and he meditates all day long. And I go over there and I want to discuss all my new findings with him. And he says, nope, I'm not at that level anymore. I don't want to know anything. All I want to do is sit here in bliss.
Oh, really? Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I understand.
What is sin exactly in your mind, Phil? What do you think sin is?
Sin, another word for it is mistake, and you only make mistakes when you're ignorant. It's that simple. That's
Yeah,
it.
you answered that already. All right.
Yeah. That's right. That's all it is.
Do you think there's more information to be found, like from the ancients, like stuff we've left in the past for ourselves to find? Do you think that's what the information and all of that stuff that we're finding now, like Gobekli Tepe, do you think that was actually deliberate because we knew, do you think it was us and we left it for us to find? Or
Yes, I do. And I also recognize things. I don't know whether you're familiar with Vimanas.
Vimanas, yeah, the flying
Vimanas,
saucer things in India, yeah.
Right. So levitation is far simpler than anyone might suspect or
Tell
think.
me about it. I've wrapped my mind around that a million times, and I thought I figured it out a million times. But like I said, by the end of the day, my brain's in my lap and I'm drooling on myself.
All right. So all you have to do is go back to the principle of the pyramid again, and the idea of four aspects of a progression that leads to a fifth. and the fifth would be the control of a position in terms of physics. So in physics, we have things called tensors, and a tensor, they have different ranks. A rank 0 tensor is what high school kids would call a scalar or a value, like just a number. Yeah. It's not going in any direction, right? So that would be that would relate to a position. And if you constantly change position, you have what's called velocity. That is a rank 1 tensor, like a vector. It's a vector.
Yeah, isotropic vector matrix. I mean, what is it like? Nassim Haramein, do you subscribe to him, or do you have you?
Yes, I do to a large extent, but he hasn't really got there. He's a lovely guy. I really like Nassim, and I like his ideas, but they need more development. I've read some of his physics papers. They're very good. They're very good, but unfortunately, when you're not in the physics community, you're not taken seriously, but as a standard anyway. Right. So he's got a mountain to climb there, poor fella. You know, I feel sorry for him because he does good work. He does. I really like him. I think he's a great guy. But as I was saying, to get that's okay, no problem. To get your head around this concept of generating lift and with anti-gravity and all this kind of thing, you must understand the principle of tensors. So I started out by talking about the position is a scalar or a value, that's a rank 0 tensor. Then you go to velocity, which is change of position. And this is a progression when you start with something like material. So think of a piece of material that's just sitting there. Then you can go to velocity. It takes on a velocity. When you change velocity, you have what's called acceleration. That's a rank 2 tensor. And if you change acceleration, the only thing you can do with that is what's called torsion, which is a twisting motion. And as soon as we get to torsion, which is the fourth condition of those four, that group of four in the progression, all you have to do is look at a galaxy and you'll see it. See, that's what a galaxy is doing. It is a torsion field, a galaxy in the dielectric plane there. And once you have that torsion situation, using basically think of liquid mercury, magnetized, electrified. Right. If you spin mercury, it will form a torsion of its own self because it's a liquid, and different layers of it will shear against each other.
Is that the ionosphere? The reason why we don't feel motion on the planet is that the ion bubble effect?
No, I wouldn't have said so. We don't feel motion on the planet simply because we're moving at the same speed as it. That's all.
So what holds the atmosphere in then?
I would say it's attracted to the planet magnetically. And when we say gravity, we can end up getting into a lot of trouble because physics has certain words they like using, and people like Ken Wheeler or Walter Russell might tell you something else.
Oh yeah,
they might use other words, but it's as if physics hasn't worked it all out yet. But there is a better way to look at it that is far more hermetic. So the pyramid concept here I'm talking about is very hermetic. And this is one of the things that they would have known in the ancient past, but has not come through to the modern age.
That's what Thos calls the earth force because that's how he says in the Emerald Tablets how the pyramids were built, by overcoming the earth force. And
there you go. So yeah, so right. So they must have understood. They would have understood electromagnetism. That's what we call it today. But they had a deeper understanding of it, and by creating this torsion concept, you would end up with a Vimana. It creates lift. Torsioning mercury creates lift, basically, because
so
mercury is a liquid metal.
You know McCandlish, Mark McCandlish? You've heard of his story?
That rings a bell. That rings a bell.
Yeah, he said he met somebody that was privy to information that he's seen. He was an artist for Lockheed Martin and for Boeing, right. And conceptual artist for their new upcoming aircraft or whatever. But he met this guy, and the guy gave him specs, and he drew it out. And he said that was the thing that created the anti-gravity, was the spinning of Mercury, electrified, and with magnets counter rotating underneath it, or something like that.
Yeah. If you think of, have you heard of Judy Wood?
No, I haven't.
Okay. She's her thesis. She's a physicist basically. Her thesis is that 9/11 was caused by energy weapons, but the effect was triggered by a local hurricane or cyclone system that generates a static electric field, which is the basis for generating lift.
Huh.
Okay, so if you create a static electric field and spin liquid mercury and create torsion with it, you will generate lift, basically, in very basic, simple terms.
And then you can vector it and get motion in direction, right?
Yeah, because once you have the torsion, you are now controlling the position of that vehicle or that thing. And when I say control, I do mean proper full control in time and space.
Yeah, that's why so the gravity wouldn't affect you per se. You know, you can do light speed or whatever it is and go.
You are not affected because you are in within its own environment yourself. Yeah.
In essence, within its own bubble, ion bubble or whatever it is, right?
Yeah, basically, yeah. That's not a bad way of saying it. Yeah, that's a good
So, what do you
concept.
think about the TR3Bs? Do you think those are real?
I do. Yeah.
Excellent.
I do. I have no problem
That was
with
a side road. We went on a side road there.
Yeah. But I did that because when I mentioned earlier that the pyramid can tell us about physics and it can tell us about spirituality as well. That's why pyramids were everywhere on the planet Earth, because it's like they contain all information at once, and the most important information that you might want to know as a planetary species.
Awesome. So the halls of Amenti that are supposedly underneath the Sphinx, do you think that's a metaphor? Do you think that's real?
Oh, I think that's probably real. I think initiation processes were done in that area for sure. And they would have taught people really important things such as duality concepts. I've been listening to some African teachers about ancient Egypt, and they really focus in on duality, which is the key ingredient to obtain illumination. Because you become illuminated by unifying dual opposites and realizing they are one and the same thing in two different opposite states, and yet they are the same.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, that's what did it. That's what did it for me. The instant, literally the instant I understood that principle, bang, I was gone. That was it. I didn't even have time to stop and think how that happened when it happened. It just happened automatically.
What you understood the pyramid concept is what you're saying, and then
No, I understood how to link and unify dual opposite concepts. I actually focused in on the relationship between time and timelessness and how they related to each other, realizing they are one and the same thing in two opposite states. So they become just one thing. So there is not two things. There is only one thing in totality. And when you realize that, your pineal gland opens and you expand out into the underworld. Yeah.
So is that essentially pretty much what a quantum computer is? I mean, you understand what I mean by that? Isn't that one and the same thing, or?
No, I wouldn't say so. Quantum computer is just a computer that uses quantum mechanics, which is just the mechanics. It's just the mechanics of particles. Quantum mechanics sounds very fancy, but the word quantum is just the word quanta, which means a quantity of something, i.e., a singular piece of something. You know, it's not as flashy as you think. Quantum mechanics. It's very simple, really. So. Where was I? Yeah, all things. Okay, no worries. All things become one, but the only reason I was able to unify duality was because I had merged and become one with the true self, which is that oneness. It's the answer. You're given the answer. So all you have to do is now build a bridge between that answer and the concept of unifying duality, and I was able to do it because I had the answer. Yeah, those two events, meeting your true self and unifying duality and achieving oneness and illumination, those are the two keys to heaven.
That's the marriage of the bride and groom, right? I mean, that's...
The marriage of the bride and groom is the meeting that you have and the merging with your highest self. And that gives you the answer. Sorry, Danny, say it again.
Sorry. Yeah, I'm just saying, yeah, when I had like merged with my higher self, it was like this in lovemaking session, you know, it's kind of spinning circles and in complete love, like nothing, like no love that you've ever experienced and ever.
That's right.
Beyond anything of this earth.
Yeah, I totally relate to that. Yeah. I would agree with that totally. I couldn't
And
believe.
So being
And
vain
then-
isn't a bad thing, is what you're saying?
Say again.
Being vain isn't a bad thing?
Well, being shallow, well, it doesn't really matter. You know, it doesn't amount to very much. That's all. Being shallow or vain, it doesn't amount to much. That's all.
Right. Okay.
I think duality could do, a lot in unifying the human species, because I think that opposite points of view can also be, like if people had, could see somebody else as themselves, somebody with an opposite point of view, and to be able to see the broad picture and to see that they're really different points of the same spectrum.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. Instantly reminds me of Taoism and the yin yang concept, that they are compatible and work together, even though they are complete opposites.
Yeah, and that's been, I think, each of us has kind of a point where we specialize in, and that has been what I have worked on since I was a child, is,
Yeah.
Uniting people with opposite points of view.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Just,
So long. Yeah. If the
getting
ego.
people,
Sorry, I beg your pardon, Danny. I
I
shouldn't
was
interrupt.
saying, getting people to drop stereotypes, because if people really take a deep look into themselves, if they're stereotyping somebody, it's usually always related to a fear or something within themselves,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. I agree. Yeah. I totally agree with you, with what you say.
yeah, and that's something that really could be used in politics, and
Yeah.
just
Right.
everything in the earth, everything.
I agree. Yeah. Politics seems to be about competition, and the two opposing parties winning first, and the other one wins, and the other one wins. And why can't they just work together and just do things right? Why does it have to be this great big competition? I don't get that. It doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, it doesn't. And then, when you really look at it, it's just the same people running both sides. I think they just want to create opposing forces. They want to create chaos and disorganization.
Yeah.
Because if the people would unite, and there would be nothing, they wouldn't need somebody to control them. They
That's
wouldn't need
right.
somebody on top, somebody on top of the pyramid cracking a whip telling them what they need to do. They could
Yeah.
be unified and organized on their own terms.
Yeah, I totally agree, and that is one of the reasons why I want to get out online and expose this material, so that people can see the easy depth of it. It's very deep, but it is quite easy and simplistic and simple, and it's always misinterpreted, so they never get it, so they're always confused. That confusion I'd like to deal with personally.
Yeah.
It's unnecessary.
Definitely. Yep.
What do you say to photons as being light? Do you think Ken Wheeler's description of light is real, or do you think it's a photon, a particle?
The photon particle is from Max Planck, who decided that there are definite quantities of energy, like a packet, which only works in certain terms. I'm not sure if you know about the wave-particle duality concept, but sometimes it can register as a wave and sometimes as a particle.
Right.
That's a quantum mechanical issue that takes a lot of explaining to get into, to give people a picture that they can understand on that. Ken Wheeler is a very good thinker, but he's not in the physics community, so he hasn't gone into quantum mechanics and showed it to you and showed you the technicalities of it as such. He's giving you a conceptual idea that works. If something works, then use it, because it doesn't matter if you figure out the true nature of a particle of light, if it is a particle or a wave. That's not the point.
Yeah, he even says that too, but then he contradicts himself by saying light is not a wave. That's something that it is a his explanation on that whole thing. Like the privation of light is a shadow and all that. How he looks at that.
I'm not familiar with him talking about light, because I don't think of light, that aspect of light, as being something that's worthy of my time as such. I prefer thinking of the issues that light, the issues associated with light. For instance, the speed of causality. That's a very interesting issue. The speed of light is very interesting indeed, because if you move at the speed of light, there is no such thing as time all of a sudden. And I can relate to that in the expansion experience that I had, because it took no time. And yet I feel like I went to the outer edge of the universe in a split second. And
next time you do that, can I book a seat? I want to come with.
Say again?
I said, next time you do that, I want to book a seat.
See, I associate that with the expansion into the underworld experience, because as far as I'm concerned, my awareness became the entire universe, which is finite.
That is so weird.
And my soul expanded out, or my spirit expanded out to infinity, to become the one without a space, which is now the underworld for you.
I just had an epiphany. Is that the Big Bang?
It's the equivalent of the Big Bang. It's as if you experience the Big Bang itself all at once. Yeah,
do you
all
think
the way
that's
out to where the universe is now, let's say.
Do you think that is the Big Bang, though? That's why the Big Bang started?
It's the creative, I call it the creative pulse of creation that is generated by God when he enters you and expands from you. That expansion is the creative pulse itself. So God is the creator of the universe in this sense.
So if everything's all mind, so the Big Bang is a product of mind. So I mean,
yeah,
right?
But it generates the pineal light in that moment in you, and that pineal light, being the creator, is now part of a physical system.
Gotcha. You're the microcosm of that macrocosm, is what you're saying.
Your physical body is a microcosm version of the universe or the cosmos. Therefore, it should be automatic that when you expand out, your awareness becomes the cosmos itself.
Have you ever considered yourself as being the incarnation of thoughts?
You could get away with saying that kind of thing, I suppose. It's just a turn of phrase in my mind, you know?
I don't want to blow your mind up.
Oh, sorry, man. No, I heard you say thought. I didn't realize you were saying thoth.
Well, it's one and the same, isn't it? It's you and Thoth is you and God, short of thought.
I see. Yes, of course. Yeah, I thought you said thought. I thought you said you are the manifestation of thought. So,
well, it's one and the
so
same.
thoth. I mean, I wouldn't associate a particular spirit or person. So to me, thoth means truth. So when you become a god, you become a thoth. It's like a title for a god in my opinion.
A concept.
Yeah, it's a personification that represents the concept that a god represents the truth and loves the truth and speaks about the truth.
So Thoth is our Jesus, or so Thoth is to us as Jesus was to the early Christians.
Yeah, kind of, as a personification of someone who personifies truth. Yeah,
right.
Yeah. Awesome.
So yeah, Danny, you were right. She didn't want to ask you straight out, so she texted me, and then I asked you. But I think if you were Thoth and you knew you were Thoth, you'd be so in the know that you would know that it would blow up your ego to the point to where you wouldn't even want to say you were Thoth, right?
Right. Yeah. The ego dies when you meet your true self. That there's no ego anymore, because you don't identify yourself with your body anymore. You identify yourself with limitlessness, because heaven is limitless and dimensionless. So that's what you become in your identification. Therefore, there's no need to bother with your little self thinking anymore.
Right, man. I feel so giddy. I feel like I'm in I don't know. It just feels so fun, dude. I feel like I'm having fun with knowing things now. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It becomes very easy to understand these things and talk about them when you experience them. You know, because you know what it is then. This
is how we were supposed to feel in school.
Yeah, that's right. You're supposed to learn this in school, I think.
Yeah. And what if we knew that the magnet on our fridge was a key to open up the knowledge? Because that's really what opened it up for me, was realizing that everything is a magnet. Everything is magnetism in my mind, you know. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, to a large extent, I do. Yeah, to a large extent. You could say that electricity is just an aspect of magnetism. I mean, magnetism has to do with volume and body, but electricity has to do with focus and definition. So there's the same concept as the difference between the ineffable and the well-defined, you know, the undefined and the defined. That's the extreme contrast we have in all creation, that is between an infinite expanse and a zero.
Yeah,
So,
that's just awesome. And your analogy with the timelessness and the time as being one thing, just you know, that's just wow. And
that's what did it, man. Yeah, that's what did it.
That's what I woke up with yesterday. I felt like I understood, but then, like I said, by the end of the day, I was like, whoa, you know, because what is with that in our inherent nature to do that, to convolute things to the point to where we confuse ourselves?
I guess it has to do with how other people might word things. You know, it's very difficult to word things very well sometimes. So you might misunderstand their use of a word in some case, and think that you understand what they're saying, but really you've created some other thing, and then you compare it with something else. And maybe if you misunderstand that and glue the two things you thought were together, you end up with your own picture.
Yeah, I think just so many things get lost in translation, and you have, with the internet right now, there's 50,000 different viewpoints of 50,000 different people saying that they have the absolute truth, you know?
Yeah.
And there's just like an endless sea of information to dig through, and if you don't have, you know, your personal experience to back it up, you don't know what to go off of.
That's right. I totally agree with that. Yeah, that's a big problem in the world. A lot of people making big claims about what they're saying, and yet they can't back it up. I can see through a lot of that. You know?
Yeah, I think that's what, you know, the Bible talks about, the desolator sitting where he ought not. I think that's what it is. It's claiming to know the truth when it's not the truth. You know.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
It's the ego sitting on the throne.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. The real sign of that is if they can handle being truly honest and say, well, I don't really know that thing, you know. And are they vulnerable or invulnerable? Are they seemingly superhuman? Because a lot of people who claim to know things will stand there with a great pride and give the impression that they are invulnerable, as if they're all about ego as well. I always notice when someone hasn't lost their ego, and if it takes to meet your true self to lose your ego, most of the people on the world haven't done that.
Yeah.
You know, apart from incarnating angels who might remember themselves doing that before, but most people on Earth haven't done that. So a lot of the claims I automatically know are going to be somewhat bogus.
Yep. Yeah.
So
the
what drew you to me? Because I'm pretty pompous in my stature. I mean,
I don't get that from you.
Good, good. Because I used to be that way. No,
right.
I stand tall in what I believe, but I don't hold it to a point where I'm going to stand alone. But I will stand alone in what I really truly think is truth. You know what I mean? Like, there's certain things that you just know. But what's your opinion on RH negative?
RH negative. I've heard of that. What is that? A blood group?
Yeah, the blood type.
Go ahead, Danny.
The rhesus negative blood group. He's asking if he thinks it's like an alien blood type because it doesn't have the rhesus factor in it.
I wouldn't know blood types. That's my girlfriend's purview. She's a paramedic, my girlfriend. I'm not a physiological expert. You know,
see, that's why I find you just awesome, dude. You'll stop at, you know, a lot of guys would just say, oh, I think that's this, and this, and you know, I don't know nothing about it. But when you go to have a kid, that you're tested by the doctors to make sure that one of you isn't RH negative and one is.
Oh, I see. Right, compatibility of blood types.
Otherwise, the baby gets rejected by the mother.
Well, the mother, because like my mom was RH negative, my dad was RH positive. She had to have like an RH factor injected, like RH antibodies injected into her, so she didn't then abort me.
It's like if you got a kidney from somebody and it would get rejected unless you got anti-rejection drugs.
Yeah, I see. Now I'm with you. I understand what you're trying to say. I asked my girlfriend that recently, actually, because I'm O negative and she is O positive, I think. if I remember rightly, and we're okay. Apparently, there's no problem there as far as I know. But I understand exactly what you mean now. Yeah, compatibility of blood types. Yeah.
Yeah, you couldn't receive her blood as being positive. She could receive your blood because you don't have an RH factor. You couldn't. Your body would attack her blood.
Right.
Right, Danny's a nurse.
But you're O negative is the universal donor.
Yeah.
You could donate to anybody. That could be your life mission. Just kidding.
Well, I mean, she's a nurse, and I'm asking you what she wanted to ask you, if your opinion. Am I right, Danny?
Yeah.
Yeah. Another thing, what was I gonna? I just lost my train of thought because I heard her little sweet giggle. What was it? Go ahead. I'll figure it out. I'll look it up. Go ahead.
Is it completely gone?
Huh?
Is it completely gone? Left your mind?
Yeah, exactly. Because I got lost in laughing at Danny realizing that I was laughing at myself because I forgot she was a nurse.
Right.
Oh, Gary Baxter says English is a harlot language that cheats on itself. What do you mean by that, Gary? But I mean, there you go. That's what I was going to ask. The Tower of Babylon. The whole mixing up of the languages. What do you attribute that to in the Bible? What does it mean?
To be honest, that particular area of what book is that in, out of interest? Do you know?
I don't know offhand.
Yeah, because I don't know, because I've not spent time on that particular passage and that book of the Bible. I've spent most time on the Kabbalistic, the first 5 books of the Old Testament, which are basically Kabbalah, the New Testament especially, to deal with Christianity, and various other books like the Book of Jonah. So I haven't read through the entire Old Testament yet. I'm making my way through it, basically, and I haven't got to that, and I don't want to talk about that, because I haven't established exactly what is coded in that particular passage. Obviously, I can see obvious concepts going on there straight away, like a tower where people think they can build a tower to God and reach some sort of perfection. That, to me, reminds me of the concept of the Great Work in terms of building a pyramid that gets capped from above. If I compare it to that Tower of Babel, the Tower of Babel is not a pyramid as far as I understand. What they were building was not a pyramid, and therefore it cannot be capped by God and cannot reach unification and become a diamond. It simply remains a human building that is a kind of useless attempt at doing something that is foolish.
Yeah, in my opinion, it's just an analogy for what's going on now. You have many people building themselves up and sitting on their ego, putting their ego on top, and that's everything gets lost in translation. There's mass confusion.
I'm with you there, Danny. Yeah.
It's not God striking them down with confusion. It's their own selves. Them because they're
that makes perfect sense to me, what you're saying.
Do you think we once telepathically communicated?
No.
I do personally, yeah, because I've had that since Illumination.
With other people or just your higher self?
No, with a person in America.
Really?
Yeah.
Did they know it?
Yeah, they confirmed it. I couldn't believe it. I thought I was imagining it. They wrote to me the next day and confirmed it. I couldn't believe it. It was real.
Do you think we all have hints of that when we know somebody's calling, or like when you think about somebody and all of a sudden they're calling you, or do you think that's connected to that sort of thing?
In a way, yeah, in a more subtle way, perhaps. You could explain that as our connection with our atmosphere, maybe the energy in the atmosphere. You could say it's like that, but this was mind to mind, direct, for sure.
And you were close to each other though, in proximity.
Not physically, no. I was here. She was in America. This is a lady I used to speak to. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
How did you do that? I mean, what was in your head to get?
It came out of the blue. I didn't expect it. Her face appeared in my mind's eye view by itself, as if she was physically there.
Wow.
Yeah.
That had to be wild.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. I thought I was imagining it. the only reason I know that it was that was because the next day she said, "Oh, Phil, do you remember? Did anything happen last night? Because I did this and that." And as far as I'm concerned, you were, apparently to her, I was standing at the end of her bed.
What? She was sleeping?
No, she was listening to binaural beats.
Oh, that's the key thing.
And she was meditating. She was focusing on me because we communicated a lot at that time. And it was that exact moment that she appeared in my mind's eye by herself, fully physically formed. And around her head was this bright white light that went.
Wow, that's the Gateway experience, the Gateway project that the CIA, that paper that they released, that I was doing a video on.
Right.
They actually did a study on that. The government did.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say that's real.
They used artificially induced meditation techniques like binaural beats and some biofeedback stuff with light, blue light, and
right.
all kinds of stuff. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. That's incredible.
Yeah, that actually happened. And funnily enough, she was there for about 10 seconds and I couldn't get rid of it. I didn't realize what was going on. And I thought there was something wrong with me, basically. So I wanted it to go, right. to resume back to a normal sense and then think about it before engaging in anything that it might be. And when she went, a man's face appeared right in front of me. And he had wild hair and a big wild bushy beard. And he was very calm looking and he was just looking at me. And I asked him to leave.
Who was the guy?
I don't know who that was. He didn't say anything. He didn't communicate. He was simply looking at me.
Wow. And doesn't that haunt you? I mean, not haunt you, but make you, don't you just think about that a lot?
I do often wonder why he hasn't come back and why I haven't tried to engage that ability, to be honest, because I don't know about it. I've had no experience with it, and I wouldn't want to jump into something that I didn't understand fully myself first. So I'd like to understand it more, then maybe I can engage it.
Do you know fear when you're enlightened?
I don't know. No, I would say no, but it doesn't mean you're invulnerable. I can still sense something that's coming that is not a good idea. I'd rather not be pushed off the top of a building.
I knew you were going to say that before you said it, man.
Right, because it means I won't be able to talk to anyone anymore. It doesn't matter for me as much because I know I'll be all right.
Oh my God, that's so funny. Sorry, I can't stop laughing, man.
That's right.
No,
yeah.
God, go ahead, buddy.
It doesn't mean it wouldn't be an unpleasant experience momentarily as well, but I know that you exist without your physical body because I've actually experienced that by going into the underworld. It was totally separated from anything physical.
So in the Emerald Tablets, when at the end, when Thoth says, I'm leaving you, my children, I'm going down yet up to the halls of Amenti. That means he's going to the underworld, right? I mean, pretty much.
Yeah, you have to descend to ascend.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
Awesome.
I'd associate that comment with the Tree of Life as well. So from the top, you descend and you ascend. Yeah, it's the same principle.
Yep.
Okay, I've had something bugging me. 13. He says 13 in one sentence that it's the divine number, and then he right after that says the 12 in the one. Do you have an answer for that?
Yeah.
What is it?
Well, in your brain, where truth is established for God. I mean, God is your true self, and you establish definition for God, essentially, who is you. In your trueness, and of course the light is surrounded by 12 cranial nerves, so that's the 1 and the 12 in my mind, and of course 12 plus 1 is 13, so 13 is the number of a god. That's in association with a god. Also the pyramid with the all-seeing eye on top has 13 steps,
and 72 is the 1 degree of what does the 72 relate to other than the great year degree?
Well, in Kabbalah there's a 72-letter name of God as well.
Okay.
That's a mathematical concept in terms of manifestation and how manifestation works logically. But there are other ways of looking at 72. You know, it's not just that. You
What
can
are,
apply it to degrees of arc or something. You know, there's
yeah,
all sorts
okay.
of things.
I got you. I got you. What do you equate 333 to then?
Oh, God thrice great.
Oh, wow.
And 3 times 3 times 3 is 27, which is the number of letters in the 27-letter Hebrew alphabet that makes a cube.
Wow. So you think in the big scheme of things, that's why when I really looked at that gematria thing, that it led to the key to Shambhala? Is that some sort of clue to me to I'm on the right road, or what do you think that?
Yeah, well, 333 to me overall, because the overall pattern is that there are 3. To achieve ascension or salvation, it takes for 3. You've got heaven, the underworld, and creation. Yeah, you need to descend into creation to rise into heaven. And all that is to me is an association you may have to remember that the reality is very simple like this. Yes, it's very deep, but it's very simple as well. So like the 3 wise men that visit the baby Jesus in Bethlehem, they represent God thrice great, the 3 aspects of unity or infinity. So dimensionless heaven, infinite space, which becomes the underworld when you expand into it, but it's outer space when we look at it physically, and singularity or singular definition. Those are God thrice great, the 3 identities of singular nature.
When I first remembered like a death, one of my first visions when, you know, of like a previous time or whatever, when I was a teenager, I kind of fell into this trance state or whatever, and I looked around me and I was in a pool, like a round pool that had 3 dead lambs in it, and all I could see they were lambs, but I could just see the top of the wool, you know. And then the whole water was red with blood, and I was wearing a white robe, but it was stained with red.
That's, to me, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
It seems bad, but that's a really good thing. That is the slain lamb concept there, and there's 3 of them. So yeah, that's a coded way of saying the lamb is slain on the 3rd day.
Yeah, that was like the kind of one of the beginning steps on my journey.
Wow, in this life,
yeah, that's what I remembered that in this life.
That is, I find that awesome. That totally confirms to me that you're an incarnated, compassionate angel. That confirms it. You know, if you're having visions like that and experiences like that, there is no 2 ways about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think before that I had asked, when I was younger though, I remember there was angels out, you know, around me that I could see, and they would always tell me, they said, remember, you're not from here, you're just here for a little while.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll go along with that. Absolutely. Yeah, that sounds normal to me. Yeah. I mean, being wearing white robes, you know, in Revelations, it says, these are they who've gone through the great tribulation. They've washed their robes white and made them white in the blood of the Lamb. That is a salvation, ascension concept or illumination concept right there. And then there's your vision in a nutshell, you know, with 3 lamps. Absolutely, you've done it before, so it's in your personal Akashic record.
Yeah.
Is Steve gone?
I think we lost Steve.
Really? What's happening? That's unusual.
He went into the void. There you go.
Here he is. Yeah.
Are you there, Steve?
Yep, I'm here now.
Hey.
Where'd you go?
I went into counter space. I got sucked into the singularity. That was my. I'm just kidding. No, I'm just trying to make light of what's really the. I mean, holy cow. Yeah, dude. I mean, I was just gonna say right before that happened, actually, that it's amazing how simplistic it is, but how adversely complicated it is to explain.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, it's just insane. But I mean, I'm not even going to pretend to know what it is to meet God yet, or myself, because what are the signs that you got before it happened for you, or did you have any signs?
Yeah, I did. Funny you should ask that, because I was thinking about this just before coming on. That's strange. There was something that really weird happened about 3 weeks before the Divine Union event, and all I was doing was I was outside my front door on the steps, because we live on the first floor flat. So I was sitting on the first couple of steps. There's a little porch roof above where the front door is, and I heard a little noise from the porch roof. So I turn around and I look up, and there are two owls.
Oh my God!
Staring at me, just staring at me, and they just sat there staring at me. Two owls. They were browny grey color, absolutely beautiful. They looked exactly the same as if it was a couple, and they just stared at me, and I was in awe. I couldn't believe my eyes. I've never seen owls before in my entire life. Never.
Wow!
And here they are, sitting right above my head. And then I looked away, and then I looked back to see if they're still there. They were just gone. I didn't even hear them fly off.
Wow.
I've had a pair of owls around my house now for the last month, and they've been here, and
Get out.
I'm dead serious.
Really?
I'm dead serious.
That's very interesting, dude.
Yeah, that's
I'm dead
awesome.
serious, man.
Yeah, that's significant.
That is incredible, dude.
Mm-hmm. It's
That's
highly
amazing.
significant. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. And you know what? Way back when I was really chasing the dollar, working for a cable company,
Mm-hmm.
I hit an owl once. It flew into my cable truck, and I got out and I saved the damn thing and got it, attention and saved it. It was weird, but
Good
yeah.
for you, man. Good for
But
you.
I mean, I've had two owls around my house for a month, for the last 3 weeks, 3.5 weeks.
Yeah. Good gracious.
Yeah, that's weird. And so, and those come to the Vikings in Viking myth too, don't they? Owls.
I'm not sure. I'm not familiar with Viking myths at all.
Ishtar always had two owls beside her.
Yes.
And is that maybe what is the goddess? Is it Inanna that's standing on?
Yeah, that's
on
Ishtar. Yeah, same one.
Ishtar.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's the one I was thinking of. Wow.
Mm.
That's incredible, dude.
Yeah, they represent wisdom. So the acquisition of wisdom, spiritual wisdom. That to me was a sign that I was going to become spiritually wise very soon after.
That's crazy, dude. That's just incredible, man.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's true. Absolutely true.
So that's another one of these synchronicities that I've been talking about, like that Rakatamata word. Like the other day when do you know who the name? Remember, I left that in the comment for you. Ocele, or it's OCEILE.
No, it doesn't come to mind when you say that.
Danny, you said you looked up that word, right?
Yeah, I don't remember what it meant.
Said from the sky or something like that?
Something about where did you get that word?
I had it sent to me. Somebody left a comment in one of my videos and said, I've come to know that this is actually Thoth, And then all of a sudden, right after that, Aaron, Australia Esoterics, School of Esoterics, asked me who that was. And I'm not kidding. It was like 10 minutes later. It was weird.
Mm-hmm.
It was just the oddest thing. It was. I was like, whoa.
The meaning of Ocele is from the sky.
Ah, yeah.
So is that pretty much creation to where I don't know, the system's way of telling me that I'm getting closer? Is that what you're saying? Like your owl experience? I mean,
I would say so. Yeah, it's a sign for you. Yeah, definitely.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
And with this feeling, it comes the natural emotions of just every emotion, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It is. Yeah, it's very emotional. It can be very emotional. Yeah. A lot of things from your past, the angst in your life and the emotional pain will automatically be released from you. Yeah, and you'll be cleaned and cleared, as I've been.
I'm forced to deal with it.
Uh-huh. Yeah. I think it's coming out of you anyway, because you're crying a lot at the moment, you know, these days. So that there it is, pouring out of you, coming out of you.
Yeah,
You know?
it's like you're cleansed by the waters and by the prayers.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Awesome.
That's right.
Yeah. Does anybody in the chat have any more questions that would like to get through? We've gone 2 hours and 15 minutes now, so you know, I don't know if you know, you're going to come back Saturday at 3:33, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Awesome. Did you think at first I was saying 3:33 in the morning on my time?
No. I got it.
But got it. 3:33 here is what time there?
So you are behind me, therefore that's 9:33 in the evening for me, which is perfectly all right.
So let me get this right. You're so excited to talk to us now that you're up at 2:15 in the morning right now?
Yeah, it's 2:15.
Oh, wow.
You're awesome,
I didn't know that. That's awesome.
That is awesome.
I didn't even think about that.
Right, then there's no problem. I'll tell you something. This light in my head never sleeps.
Yeah.
There's no such thing for it.
Yeah.
So you wake up, you go to sleep with it, and you wake up with it, and it's just there. Hello, yeah, I'm ready.
So that's where Super 8 got their motto from. We'll leave the light on for you. Is Earth due a reset, an extinction level event, in your opinion?
I don't know. I don't predict the future. You know, I don't bother thinking about the future.
Especially something like that, right? I mean, there is no sense in thinking of the future because it ain't here yet, is what you're saying, and same with the past, right?
Yeah, kind of. You know, there's no point in worrying about the future. That's for sure.
Because you're not, when you die, you're really, tell us your mantra that you told me that I said wrong on my video, by the way.
Oh, you mean if you die before you die?
Yep.
That one.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a famous saying. It says, if you die before you die, when you die, you do not die.
Nice.
Oh, yeah.
I said it totally wrong on my video. I acted up and I was like, oh man, it's too late. I already uploaded it because the rest of it was good, but that part was bad.
Yeah. It's a truism, you know. Because illumination is dying. Basically, you die to everything physical, and literally go through what you might call death, because you went to the underworld, and then you come back to your body, and then later on you physically die, but you don't have to reincarnate on the planet anymore. You graduate, you move on. Yeah.
Do you think that removing emotional attachments to words, period, is a good idea?
Yeah, but you there's a tendency to have overriding rules too often. So if we say don't ever get emotional about something, you know, it's like telling you what to do. You need to be able to be free to do what you feel is right. And if you feel emotional about something, then be emotional about it. You know, don't worry about too many rules and regulations, I would say. Be free, be free. Be free to be who you are, and be who you are, and try and enjoy who you are, find out who you are, and find joy. That's what I would suggest.
What is the best thing any of us can do? Well, this is probably one of your biggest issues, is how do you get somebody that is in your immediate life to even start to grasp what we're talking about here? Or don't you even try?
Yeah, I do try, but I don't push anything because they have their own opinions and their own level and stage, you know, and I don't feel the need to force anyone to accept anything that I say.
Because they're gonna be saved by themselves anyway, sometime or another, right? Is that what you mean by that?
Yeah, right. Yeah, but I mean, I try and do what I do online because there's a big problem in general in the world, and there's a lack of understanding. So I'd like to address that. But I can't force people to rise up and do whatever and find ascension. It's always down to them. And I recognize that. And I have no will to force anything on anyone. It doesn't give me satisfaction to do that. I'm already satisfied. I'm completely satisfied from divine union and illumination. That is total satisfaction for me.
Right, and that's probably pretty much where Jesus was when he was, metaphorically, of course, because we don't know if he was real or not, but essentially,
Yeah.
yeah. So
It doesn't, it doesn't really, it does. I care about other people, but I don't worry about whether they get anywhere or not, because it's always down to them, and I understand that and I recognize it. So it's not up to me to change anybody. It's up to them. So you let go of that responsibility, and I am free. I feel completely free. You see,
right.
with no emotional attachments, I don't need them anymore. But I care about people as well.
So in essence, the people that are worrying about the cataclysms and stuff are just, and that's just another sideshow for us to be diverted in our own minds to have to do the great work.
Yeah, basically, anything that distracts you from achieving ascension is a distraction, basically.
Even the end of the world.
Well, the end of the world is just a reference to the changing of the age from Pisces to Aquarius.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
So it's inevitable. Whatever's going on is going to happen anyway. So just enjoy what you got now and have fun, right?
Yeah. If you can have fun, try and have fun. Yeah, and just remember, there's a good reason for your being here as well. That's all. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
How come cultures that had not had any intermingling have religions with the same stories, Noah? Well, that goes back to what we've been talking about, that the layers of existence, right?
Yeah, all over the world. See, illumination is always exactly the same for anyone who becomes illuminated. No matter if they're on opposite sides of the planet, they will both come up with a pyramid concept, because it seems to be automatically ingrained in the illumination thing. I notice all the different ancient cultures sprung up at different times, and yet they all do the same thing. They all have the same thinking. They all have the same encoded stories, because illumination is never different. It's always exactly the same thing. The truth never changes. So you'll see it repeated over and over again.
And I got a good one. The NDE experience, is that like half ascension, or is that showing you what is that? Is that like you're halfway down the hall of death? And
do you remember yesterday we were speaking about being in the underworld and automatically generating stuff around you that you think might be real, but it's coming from your imagination? Because the underworld is your expanded mind space outside of yourself. So normally when we think of things, they appear in our own head, or we picture things in our head. But when you think of something, it'll become available to and realistic to you outside seemingly of you. And you could imagine an entire planet and start floating around or flying across, and just think of a house and there it appears. That's
so when you're astral traveling, that's where you're at?
Yeah.
I would say so. Yeah. Yeah, there's another aspect to that I realized recently as well. If you think about ghosts and spirits that hang around, how come if they're of the underworld death scenario, how come they can interact with the physical world? Well, if you expand out and become one with outer space, then you have become one with the basis of what the cosmos is in. So perhaps you can interact with the cosmos to a certain extent. I don't know.
Like the movie Ghost?
Yeah.
Like the movie Ghost, when he was trying to push something off the...
Yeah, because I spent many years watching ghost hunters, and I've actually done that myself, and I've had my own experiences and tried to figure out what is going on there. I find that fascinating. I love exploring the reality that surrounds us as well, to figure it out in great depths. I find that great fun. Here,
I got this wonderful story that I want to read to you from a listener or a viewer that she left. This is one of the inspiring comments that I have recently got since you have come into our reality, and I'd like to share it with you.
Yeah, man.
And it's pretty sweet, dude. You'll dig it. I'm getting it. So yeah, I mean, it's just incredible, man, how I feel just completely blessed to have you come across my what do I call it? My desk of divination.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's just incredible.
Yeah.
And
wow. Thanks, man.
It started with Danni. She's an angel too.
Oh, sorry, dude. Just to say, I
No,
feel
go
blessed
ahead.
to know you guys. You know.
What were you saying?
Oh, I was just saying, I feel blessed to know you guys as well. You know.
It's awesome.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, this
Yeah.
has been awesome.
Yeah. Thank you.
And moving into a reality where I'm not alone anymore is nice.
Yeah.
Ain't that the truth?
Yeah. So, Steve, what were you going to say? Sorry, I was speaking over you. I beg your pardon.
No, I was
that you were
speaking
saying?
over you, sir, and I have a tendency to do that because I like hearing myself.
Yeah.
No, it's just out of old ways, I guess. I'm looking up this comment right here, so
Yeah.
it's Mary. Here she goes. She was talking to. Okay, she was responding to somebody talking about death and how she was led to me, you know, and it's not to me, it's to us because we are one now, you know, and that's like I said last night, you guys are all part of my family now, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, thank you, man. I really like that idea. I appreciate it.
But she says, Mary, I hope I'm not going to say her last name, but Mary, she says, yes, I felt it. Lost my husband this year and have had a feeling that I am supposed to be more. He passed at work, and at 5:04, his spirit came to me. He was smiling. Then I got a call from his work telling me he was being sent to the hospital by ambulance. They told me he passed away at 5:04. So strange I felt him at the same time he passed. My mom passed a year ago, and before she passed, she came to me in a dream. And she told me to come over there and to talk to her because she had something to tell her. So she rushed home, and she told me thanks for everything and that she loved me. And the next day she passed away. And have had other dreams and feelings of spirits around me trying to tell me something, but I'm not sure what it is. Since then, I have been searching for answers, and I was sent here. And I was like, I started bawling again, and my response to her was, "You are too freaking awesome. I love you for sharing, and thanks, by the way." I'm crying again. But yeah, that's something I had to share with you.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Well, thank her, because I mean, it takes a lot for somebody to share that. But I mean, it's weird how it works, man. It's not weird, but I mean, it's awe-inspiring in my opinion. You know, that's how I see it.
Yeah, same.
And how everybody connects like this, and how we're connecting, and we are the warriors of right, man, in my opinion, and we're gonna win.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Because you can't stop the truth, really. Yeah. The only thing that's prevented it is the lack of illumination on the planet for so long. So you know, it hasn't been available directly from any person, as far as I know. Maybe some people were illuminated a few hundred years ago or 300 years ago or something. I just don't know.
Yeah. Do you think that's maybe why all of these angels were sent here to help us boost our cognitive or understanding, because there is imminent peril for the planet? Or, you know, do you know what I'm getting at there?
Yeah, I mean, ignorance ends up destroying things basically, and if there's too much of it, you get too much destruction. Yeah, so there's no more benefit anymore. So yeah, it's to shift things and change things for a better future, basically.
And I think just because it is the new, you know, coming of a new age, that, you know, it's just the correct time to move into a different way of doing things.
All right, guys. Hey, it's been awesome, dude. And anybody wants to get more information on Phil Langdon, you guys can go to his website, and do you want to plug a book or something that you want to sell, or not sell, but I mean offer up, or whatever you do with it? And
I mean, if they look at my videos under my name, if you just type in the word illumination part 1 or 2 or 3, you'll probably find one of my videos with the name Phil Langdon, and underneath there's a free link to the main book that I wrote called Gods of Divine Union Illumination, and you can just download it from Dropbox. It's only a couple of 100 pages, the main book, with quite a lot of appendices for reference purposes, so that you know I'm not just making stuff up. So it's a free download, so go check it out. It's worth the read. I've made sure that it has the most succinct, important information that I can come up with in it. that will help you achieve your own ascension.
And that's what our purpose here is, right? Is to achieve our own unity with the all, right?
Yeah, and that is simply a new beginning as well. It's not the end of all things, you know. People don't realize that. It's just a new beginning of a much better life of inspiration and joy. Well,
Saturday we'll get into more of the structured stuff that we wanted to talk about, and you know, the intricacies of, you know, whatever you want to talk about, because, you know, it's. I feel like I know enough to talk about some of the things, but I don't have the articulation and the mannerisms in which you do. To maybe it's because I don't have the knowledge, right? I mean, you know what I mean, to convey. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think you don't realize that you do have it in you because you recognize it, which means it's already in you. But the physical brain, your psyche, needs to catch up with your own spirit, basically, and that takes time. Mine had to do that. I had to do that as well. It just takes time. That's all.
Well, you're a very eloquent orator, and I mean, you explain things in a way that people can actually comprehend, and I appreciate that, man.
Yeah, thank you.
You got anything to say, Danny?
No, it's been great.
Yeah, it has. Thank you very much, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, guys. Anybody in the chat got anything to say? Any questions before we go? And thank you. Here, I'll go down the line. Thank you, Miles, John, Brandy, Aaron, Hammer of the Gods, John Pershing, Mr. Menza, Angel, Rainbow Phoenix, Holy Spirit, Purifying Fire of Truth. That, I mean, I write out her initials, and it's exhausting. I thought my name was long. The Architect, which is Travis. Nice to meet you, Travis. He's the one who sent me the Rakatamata word, and I was just irate because I don't know why I was mad about that, but I'm sorry about that, Architect. Travis, Kathy Ashby, Ronnie G, Michelle Can-Am Free, I love you. That's it. I think I got everybody. Heartbeat. Okay, thanks, guys. We appreciate you coming and joining us in this battle. It's not a battle, but I mean, it's a battle for our own self, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know, but yeah, thanks again, man.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you so much.